There are so many things to say about team building, and it would be, a daunting task to think that we can accomplish a whole lot in a short period of time. But I do want to sow some seeds and maybe point you in a direction or two as we unpack this. So in these notes, I've listed eight things that we'll kind of get to, but obviously, when it comes to team building, there's two things we have to pay attention to. One is the kind of leader I am and the kind of leadership I'm providing. Right? We're going to talk about the leadership that I'm providing, but let's for a moment just talk about the leader that you are. When you think back, Devin, any markers? Probably not, eh? Is there? Okay. Just want to do something real fast here. I want you to think back to a leader that has influenced your life tremendously. Got the person? Who is it?
My dad.
Your dad? His name is?
Henry.
You had to think? Okay, different language, okay. You can say whatever you want, because we don't know him, but that was funny that you... Okay. So again, what's his name? Henry? Okay, we'll go with Henry. Who else? Who did you think about? Who did you think about? Yeah. Parents? They have names? Okay, Randy and Sarah. One more. Pastor? Lennox. Perfect. Okay, so I'd like, who can scribe? Lisa can. I've seen her penmanship.
But not my spelling.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we got to work. Okay, I want you to tell me the number one characteristic that makes that leader. Yeah, we're going to list that. The number one characteristic that makes that leader make your list. Okay? Got the question? We're going to do this fast. We're going to go all the way around the room. Okay? What's the characteristic? Loving? Let's get two writers up here. Who else is good? Who else can write? You can. Okay, so you guys sort out the list between each other. Okay, so loving? Servant? That's too many words. Wiser? Compassionate? Smart? Caring? Walks his talk. That rhymes. Okay. Gentle? Intentional? You keeping up?
No.
Spiritual? Trustworthy? Loyal? We're going to come back to you. Okay. Humble? Patient? Affectionate? Trustworthy? Kind? Consistent? Giving his time? Imaginative. Good one. That was worth waiting for. Okay. Was it? Confident? Relational.
Example.
Yeah. Understanding. Passionate. Inspiring. Empowering.
Fun.
Did you know what the
Fun.
Okay, fun. Creative. All right.
We got that one already.
You got it all? You guys are awesome. You ladies are awesome.
We missed a couple. I think.
Anybody?
Also very messy.
That's okay. That's better than I could do. If yours is not up here, raise your hand, and they will apologize.
Yeah.
If anybody's not up here? They said they missed a couple, so.
I'm sure we did.
Spiritual. Of course we missed it. Of course we missed the word spiritual. We're in a church and we missed the word spiritual. Understanding. They did pretty good. Okay. Empowering. It's getting worse. Just told you. Everybody else up there? Okay, so let's do something. Again, we're just touching base on the thought that there's two parts to team building. It's the leader we are and how we lead. Okay, so this is introduction on the leader we are. Okay, that's not in your notes. But in terms of characteristics of people that make our list, and these are the characteristics Are these gifts? A gift or a choice? Bit of both, right? Gift and choice. What about creative? That's a gift. What about fun? Choice. What about spiritual? Understanding? Okay, we'll keep friends in the room. Okay, both. Caring? Choice. Gentle? Patient? Giving of time? Confident? Oh, both for the sake of loving. Choice, gift of the Spirit. Maybe it's a gift. Servant. Why is it a gift? Why would you say it's a gift? I'm not challenging you, but just why would you say it's a gift? Okay, so it's a service gift, right? Back to the gifts, okay. Wise. Compassionate. Choice, creative. Empowering. Choice, smart. Choice. I'm having a dumb day. Probably a gift, yeah. Walks the talk. Intentional. Trustworthy. Gift. Who said gift? Why? Sorry? Some aren't.
Just because of like who they are. I've met some people.
I've never. That's interesting. We have to vote on it. Okay, let's vote. Is trustworthy a gift? You got to put your hand up. Declare yourself. Okay, and is trustworthy a choice? Okay, you're done. Humble, consistent, imaginative, gift. Okay, so of these, we see that there is 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 choices. And there is one, how many gifts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 gifts. And then there's a combo. So, point simply is this. That, again, when we're talking about building teams, the kind of leader we are and the kind of leadership we provide. A lot of leadership just with what? Good choices. Right? Good choices. So, pay attention to choosing to have characteristics that would be thought of as characteristics of great leaders. Okay? Catch that? So those are choices. So we're either like going to choose or we're going to not. And I think that gets us to a good place. So the leader we are, the leadership we provide. So I want to kick now into, in the next 35 minutes, the subject related to good spiritual leadership, the leadership that we do, and just simply state 8 very simple ideas that maybe unpack this. And but let's start, maybe you've seen this before. Let's start here. Okay, so we're building on this a little bit. Push some themes out here, okay? Paying attention to who you are as a leader, and making good choices, and walking your gifting. And secondly, the big idea about leading others is pay attention to people. In a nutshell, we could all dismiss. There's the big nugget. Pay attention to people. Pay attention to people. You and I, especially probably in the ministerial portfolio, you're busy in leadership, and how often, we can, because we're busy, miss the big idea, right? The big idea is pay attention to people when it comes to team and recruiting. So, here's a couple ways in which I think we pay attention to people. And there's just 8 things. They're kind of random. There's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to them, but things that I think are important. When we're building a team and we're paying attention, then what I think surfaces often is opportunities to pray together. If we're paying attention to people and we're seeking to lead them and provide for them and nurture team, I think that there will be times that we'll be praying together. Simple. So a question, with the team that you're on, in the last 2 months, how many times did you pray with that team? Don't answer it, just a good question. Praying together for a few things. So when we're building team, it's personal. So we are actually praying for personal needs. We're praying for ministry needs, and we're praying Matthew chapter 9, Lord, send us help. Send new laborers. Personal ministry and new laborers. Where does the group journey come from? It comes from a private journey, which lends itself to a public involvement. So, as personal leaders of others, we would want to examine how and when you are praying for the people that you're leading by name and according to their need. So here again, we're starting kind of in a base camp, but it's an important camp. You can't pray for everybody, but you want to encourage you to pray for some. For real. Like, we're praying for them by name, and we're praying according to the understanding of their need. The idea of praying for ministry needs, we do have these huddles that start a few minutes before the event, and they're courtesy prayers, they're gathering times, but perhaps prayer could become a greater priority where more focused attention and unhurried time together in prayer becomes possible. Unhurried time in prayer together. So there's a good chance that will not happen unless there's intention. What would be your experience in this? Is there any examples how you have nurtured that as a team leader or on team in terms of prayer? Anybody have any ideas? How do you do that? When do you do it? Where do you do it? Any thoughts? How do you nurture prayer on your team? Yeah.
On my group of middle school leaders, at the end of do for devotions and prayer together.
This is after.
And that's
Oh, good. Good. How long does it take after?
It can sometimes we're there for like half an hour.
Okay.
After.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I said, just the business part of it, we just regulate it to be just short and to the point, so we're not getting off track, and just making that kind of a routine.
Yeah, very good. So critical review and then prayer. Good for you. Anybody else? How does it look in your land? Yep.
At MCC, before we open, we have 5-minute prayer.
Oh, nice.
Request or,
So before the ministry starts, the team gets together, you mean?
I'm actually in the store before we open the store.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
MCC store.
Okay.
The other ladies usually.
Yeah, so it's intentional. Okay, good.
Every morning we open with a prayer before.
Right on. That's great. Very good. So there's 8 things here, and that would be one. I'd point you in a direction of making priority. Second one is, again, building the hole here, but creates a spiritual environment. When we're gathering people on a journey, there needs to be this desire to not a chaotic environment, not a management environment, not a spiritual environment. We're not gathering here, as the Langley Baseball Association. We're not, we're gathering here in the context of ministry And I encourage you to pay attention to the spiritual environment that is being nurtured in you, through you, and around you, because it's huge. Peter here in the verse says, like, what are we building? We're building something into a spiritual house. It's interesting language, to be a holy priesthood, to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. So it's spiritual. What would be, in your mind, characteristics of a spiritual environment? Like, what would be some of the attributes and characteristics if it was to exist? What would be happening? Pardon me? Open space.
I don't know, you can do whatever you want to do in your space. You don't have to all do it together. You don't
Okay.
have to all be doing the exact same thing.
Yep.
You can have your space. And so an open room provides that.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Various expressions. That's very good. Yeah. So not trying to get everybody acting the same way or doing the same thing, but there's freedom to express our love and our worship. Yeah. Anybody else? What would be characteristics? Yeah. There would be relationship, meaning,
caring for one another.
yeah.
Relationship with God as well. We are God-centered.
So there'd be empathy between people, and then there would be this continual pursuit of a relationship with God. Yeah. A couple more? Spiritual songs. Yeah. Being expressed in service to one another. It's very good. Comfort.
So create your space so that whoever you're ministering to feels comfortable being in that space of worship.
Yeah. Yeah. A comfortable and safe environment for people to come into. It feels, we know those rooms, right? That feel safe. Those feel comfortable. It's a good word. Very, very good word. So again, because we're called to be leading a spiritual journey, then we would need to pay attention to our spiritual environment. A spiritual environment has, of course, our mandate that in the midst of this spiritual environment of safety and expression, care, that we are pursuing the making of disciples, right? So we're not, foundational to the expression of programs. They all serve to make disciples so that we would come to a point, you and I, of obeying the Word of God. So again, it's not just about, so it's teaching, which is cognitive, and obeying is behavioral. So we've got a benchmark here that this verse puts in front of us, that in the midst of this spiritual environment, we are making people on a journey together, and we're teaching them to obey. So application is huge, right? So we're a team that is seeking to apply the Word of God as it gets lived out. So as I think back, I grew up way back in the day. I grew up, maybe never did, but Tigger is my favorite. But as I look back, Sunday school to me was about teaching to know and not necessarily teaching for me to obey. There's a difference, right? So we memorized the books of the Bible. I know them all in order, and I know the stories and all the journaling that I was taught to do. It was good stuff, and I benefit from it. But as I recall, I grew up, personally, maybe I missed something, I lived with the gap of what this had to do with lifestyle. How do I live it out? Like, it's the question of so what, right? So what? So I learned Kings, book, David, all the stories, so I got it here, but do I have it as I walk it out? So again, dream teams create spiritual environments that not only just know, but actually find a way to do. So our benchmark becomes quite significant as it relates to when we're teaching kids, we're teaching youth, we're teaching them to obey, right? obey. And that, of course, is a good reminder and a good challenge. And Jesus said, I'll be with you as you do that. And the last verse there, I'm with you always, again, in the context of as you do that. And I believe that there's a special grace, a special anointing to teach people to obey, not just to know. And a spiritual authenticity and care and concern. And this morning we talked about values, and there's a whole work to be done about creating an authentic environment that's value-centered and value-based. Here's the next one. Appreciates a volunteer's vocational and ministerial calling. My sister is a school teacher. She's taught forever, and she attends a church in Ontario. And she, of course, because she's a school teacher and because she's very organized, where does she serve? She serves in the Christian Education Department, and she's awesome. But as I've walked, at a distance to her relationship as one of the primary leaders within the church, they know her in a ministerial calling, but not in a vocational calling. Her ministerial calling, of course, is to, use the gifts entrusted to serve and equip. But I'm not sure they know her as a Christian school teacher, which is what she really does most of the time, right? So as you call people along your side, know them and their vocational calling and celebrate it. Even more so, possibly, in their positional ministerial calling that they serve on a Wednesday every 4 weeks or on a Sunday every second week or something like that. What we are, again, when we're building a team on a spiritual journey, we can't separate people's lives, compartmentalize, in compartments. Know your volunteers in their vocational calling. So if you're, I'm not sure if your schedule allows for this, but if you're going to, when you meet someone on your team, we become so curious about what's going on in their life, in their vocational calling. Does that make sense? So we don't always want them to join us in the context of a ministerial calling. No, because we are teaching all people to know the word and to obey, we can't create dichotomies. Teachers just don't obey when they're in the classroom. How does that church inspire my sister to be a godly teacher and to obey all things in a classroom Monday to Friday as much as on Sunday for that hour that she's an instructional teacher at the church, right? So beyond the departmental or ministerial focuses. I think that helps with honor. It helps with respect. It helps you champion their journey and not just use them in the role and task that they are. So, encourage you with that. I think a great place, there's probably, I don't know if there's any senior pastors here, but how cool it could be that in our Sunday gatherings we interview people in their vocational calling as role models, as examples. So you get the school teacher, you get the barista, you get and the list gets long, right? Because all our people are out serving in their vocational calling. So I encourage you to find some example of that. In this vocational calling and a ministerial calling, because we're discipling people, we're hoping that people are going to find a convergence in their life. And again, this convergence, there's various books that have been written on this, but when there's something significant that happens in terms of timing when someone's calling, their gifting, and need converge. It's awesome. You ever been there? Where a gift that you have and a calling that's upon your life converges with a need. Isn't that awesome? Happens all the time. So we acknowledge the giftings of people for such a time as this, to the point where we're encouraging people's primary giftings to be used in their primary ministry settings. This is huge. We often don't do this. This moves people from serving out of a chore to serving into the midst of their core. Primary giftings used in primary ministries. So if you have a team that you're discipling, you need to, I encourage you to pay attention to where they are primarily gifted and do everything that you can to move them into a place where their primary giftings are being used in their primary ministries. That's huge. That's huge. That's discipleship. That's stewardship. That is just an awesome thing. Where do we identify people's gifts? How would you do that if you were going to begin to do that, or how have you done that? How do you discern your team members' primary giftings? Let's make it practical for a sec. How do you do that? Personally. Yeah? And as you get to know them, what do you begin to see them and know their heart? Yeah, life with them. Okay, get to know them. Okay, what else? Ask them. What questions would you ask? Okay. Yeah.
What life experience have you had? What are your passions? Those would be 3 places I'd start.
Yep. Great questions. Yep.
I work with a lot of junior leaders, and so a lot of the time they won't be able to articulate what it is, but by watching them you can kind of see, give them a couple of extra things to take on and watch how they interact with the kids. And then also like notice if they have any sort of musical talents that maybe they like. I have one who's, I know that he knows how to play the guitar, so kind of approaching them and say, I've seen this in you, and have you ever thought of this? And see where it goes.
Awesome. Watch and then call it out. Yeah. Listening.
People don't really, I didn't know what my spiritual gifts were until after Facebook. I feel
Yeah.
they go all, this is listening, because sometimes they don't even know.
Yeah.
And they don't even know that's a gift. Maybe. Something that they're good at, something that they bring to the table, they don't know it's a gift. So just listening to that.
Anybody else? It's awesome. This is how we do it. Yeah.
We have a volunteer application form that asks different questions so that you get to know them. What are you interested in? What are your strengths? What are this and that?
Have so administratively kind of position yourself for that. That's great. Yeah.
I think as a leader, for me, I don't usually look at the talents or abilities they have. I look at more of their spiritual growth.
Yeah.
I see in time that when they see them have a genuine heart for God and serving Him, then you can start to see the kind of gifting they have. For me, what's more important is their character, how they love God, and how they
Yep.
love others. For me, that's
That's good. Anybody else?
Lisa's done spiritual gift inventory times. So her leaders will have,
Yeah.
they have to do this spiritual gift, actual spiritual gift inventory.
Yeah.
Test or whatever. But that's because you have youth and young adults, like you were saying with the younger kids, a lot of them don't even know. And I do think it's something that if we want, we're looking all the time. Who's that kid that has a heart for God? Who's a worshiper? Who's helping somebody? Who's just going to go to the bathroom with that kid? Well, then that kid will one day be willing to clean the bathroom.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm not maybe that great at this, but I think shaping your ministry around the giftings that you see in your leaders gives them the best opportunity to feel like they love what they do in regards to their ministry.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Shape your ministry expression around the giftings of your present team. I don't know how often we do that, but that's awesome to think that we could. Encourage you to run to get out in front of you. So we get making reference to these spiritual gift tests. So they're going to point us to Scripture, right? Where Scripture gifts are listed. So encourage you to get those lists out. Get those lists out in front of you and begin to look at your teams through the lens of the list and begin to name and call out. So again, you know, younger leaders or older leaders, as you begin to put words on people, positive words, you're speaking words of life over them. I see the gift of ministry, the gift of hospitality, the gift of faith. I mean, let's get those lists out. And then we're moving people towards primary giftings being used in primary teams, because that makes for a better team. Potentially even this dream team, which is the title for this. Make the church better, not just make your department better. This is a kind of an interesting thought, but as it relates to perspective, as it relates to health of the church, don't be a departmental volunteer. Be a church volunteer. It's very different. Make the church better. So have carry concerns not for a department or a classroom or a small group. Carry a larger concern for the bigger picture. And I think that reflects a better team and ultimately a more effective team, and then even more of an influential team. So don't be a daughter, be a mother. Don't be a child or a son, be a parent, be a father in your ministry, right? So the idea is maybe a daughter, if you will, serves departmentally, but a mother serves broader. And I think the imagery is helpful, and I think the pursuit of this, the characteristic, I think, of healthy teams, they nurture open communication to review and problem solve. This is important. Developing skills to solve conflict and to problem solve. This is huge. It's huge. This idea of this one group over here, meeting after for 20 minutes, right? So to review, so that problems don't go on for days and weeks and months, right? Your problem solving is in the moment, right? At least you're addressing it. You're getting the rock on the table, and I think that is so helpful. Teams that meet every 4 months or every 6 months or annually, well, there's a lot of things that can happen in between team meetings, right? So we've got to nurture open communication to review and problem solve. And there's so much. I think Mick's doing a conversation about crucial conversations in the next session, and that might be a good skill and material to consider. Here's the last couple here. Good teams strategically recruit. Someone even mentioned that. And how do we strategically recruit? Because we know people, we appreciate the journey that they're on. Season of life, we understand their vocational calling, we understand their family dynamics, we understand their physical health, their spiritual vitality, we understand people's journeys, and we pay attention to them. We pay attention to people. Reasons people volunteer. Here's just a few. Because someone asked. So again, strategically recruiting. We are always recruiting. Always. Always. Always thinking through the recruitment lens. Because someone asked. Compelling need, personal connection, gratitude for being served, spiritual beliefs, religious beliefs, social needs, job skills or resume development, guilt, boredom, external influences, the old nagging mom, you got to go serve, the manipulative pastor, you need to get in there and serve, or advertising, whatever. There's various reasons, but the number one is because someone was personally recruited. So part of being a team player and leader is becoming an expert in the area of volunteer recruitment. This is something that you have to become good at. Have to. You have to. And I'm good at this, the better off our ministries will be. Reasons why volunteers quit: service is not valuable, don't matter as a person, only as a worker, contribution is not as valid as others, lack of community, lack of connection with the bigger purpose, poor leadership, management, poor communication, lack of appreciation, lack of development of a person. In your ministry, what would be right now on your team your weakest stave in that? What's your weakest one right now? Service not valuable, don't matter, lack of community, poor leadership. If someone was going to resign from your team tomorrow, yikes, what would be the reason, do you think, most likely for them to resign because of the present health and condition of your team? What would you say? Let's have some self-declaring people here. What would be your weakest right now?
Maybe 2 and 4.
2 is don't matter as a person, only as a worker, and 4 is lack of community. Okay. What else?
Might not be there, but maybe a difference of opinion, difference of philosophy.
Okay. Yeah. Where could we stick that? We can't. Maybe it's 5. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay. Seasons, time, yeah. They're just too busy and it's a season, yeah. Okay.
A sense that they're only a worker.
Only a worker?
They're only here just because we need another body.
Yeah. Filling in the gap. Yeah. Anybody else? Let's minimize the negative influences of those. They're those can be fixed by intention. So appreciate the journey of their volunteer is always recruiting. Here's just an interesting picture. Perhaps you've seen it. Rick Warren, Purpose-Driven Church. He talks about the various rings around the church. And the core is the group of people within the church that are very strongly have embraced the vision and the values, and they're helping move the vision forward. The committed people are people that regularly give, regularly attend, and regularly serve. The congregation ring are people that give when they can, serve when they can, and come when they can. The crowd are people that are regularly served by your church, but don't not in any way regularly attend, but certainly know the church, know the name, know the leader. If there was going to be they're the Easter attenders, maybe the Christmas attenders, Easter. And then there's the community ring. Those people that know about your ministry, but from time to time they engage. They're just not committed. It's just this whole community. And then on the outer ring is the rest of the community. But my appeal to you is always seek to be recruited. This is philosophy here. Maybe it's only mine. But recruit from the outside in, not the inside out. So how do we recruit people from our outer ring who may or may not be present Christ followers? How do we engage them relationally and involve them responsibly and move them on in a discipleship journey to maybe eventually at some point being a primary leader? So recruit from the outside in, not the inside out. So many of our recruitment strategies are constant appeals to the core and to the committed. That's who we recruit from. And my appeal to you is to find a strategic way and a responsible way to recruit from the outside in. Any questions? Lots there. We have such little time. But I encourage you to you can Google that. Purpose-Driven Church, rings around the church. You can see it. Get that out in front of you and start putting the names of people on the various rings. So obviously, someone in our community is not able to teach because we don't even know what they believe, but they can flip hamburgers. You're organizing a soccer game. So if we're involved in community life and friendship, why are you running the soccer game? Why don't you go down to the sports store or to the local soccer academy and get those 18-year-old kids who love soccer to come and run the game? Why would you do that? Why? Why not recruit, love, and embrace, and call people to a spiritual journey? And I think good comes from that. Jesus often did a lot of that. If you think about how he strategically moved people onto his bus, if you would, he was always living with the core. So my appeal to you, the larger your ministry is pay attention to the core and the community. That's where all your time should be, core and community. Especially the larger the ministry you have, I'd encourage you to put your energies in those two rings. Always recruiting. Ask people to do things that they will say yes to. So here's another little flip on maybe what often is thought of in terms of recruiting. There's often this thought in leadership of how we need to call people on to greater things. And I agree with that entirely. But when it comes to recruiting volunteers, what I've always thought of, recruit under people, not over people. In other words, you're asking people beneath their capacity, not beyond their capacity. So if you're trying to recruit my sister, who is a school teacher, to get involved in Christian ed, if we were to apply this thought, don't ask her to teach a class, right? Going from zero involvement to complete involvement. How do we get this thing moving, this person moving? It's through exposure, right? So, do you think you can bring cookies on the third month for the next 6 months? And when you bring the cookies, you need to bring them actually downstairs, okay? I'm going to be waiting for you downstairs. Can you get yourself down? So like, yeah, how can I not say yes to that? So underneath me, right? So you get some wins. Oh, you're down there. Oh, this is interesting. 4 months in a row you brought cookies. Thinking about Sunday in the fall that we have an absence of a teacher. Is there any chance that you could, on October the 12th, I know it's 3 months away, but I know we're a little ahead on planning, but is there any way that you could do that? No cookies anymore. Think you could just come on that one time and serve? Yeah, I could do that, right? So always ask people to do things that they will say yes to. It's huge. If you're always getting no in your volunteer recruitment, you're asking the wrong questions. So again, if you're looking for yeses, underneath people's capacity, not over people's capacity. Any questions about that? Again, when we're recruiting from the outside in, we are getting people in the community to say yes. We're getting people in the crowd to say yes. So all those kids that we are helping weekly, they represent 2 parents, or maybe 3, or maybe 4, right? So who should be thought of as potential people to be involved? So you ask them questions of involvement that they can say yes to. And that just increases their involvement, exposure, their commitment. They begin to like the atmosphere, and then over time. So it takes time, but we need to make time. Provide instruction and training, appropriately give title, responsibility, and authority. So again, when we are calling people underneath, there's times when we call people on to a higher capacity. So in those cases, we give title, responsibility, and make sure you give authority. It's huge. Give authority so they can make decisions, that they will be responsible. Larger roles, show appreciate the principles of life cycles. And then lastly, good teams will always be improving their leadership skills. So a good team building exercise is to gather around this question. So for the kids ministry in this church, you get all the workers together, how many they are, and you begin to say, what does this church expect us to be really, really good at? And ask them to make the list. Well, they expect us to be good at control, so we need to have a good sign-in system and a good deployment system. They expect us to be very good at how to handle temper tantrums and how to handle the whole movement from, you know, the classroom to the washroom and back. They expect us to be very good at music and visual arts, and then pursue that, right? It's a good question. What do people expect us to be good at? The last session, we always ask ourselves that question. What do people, so even ask it personally, what do people expect Dave Solmes to be really good at? Can't be good at everything, for sure, but is there one thing I could be good at? And we pursue that. So for your team, what do people expect your team to be good at? And then go ahead and make good choices, ask God for the giftedness, and appropriately recruit where you are lacking. So those are some ideas. How to build a team that potentially functions maybe more effectively. And the last one would be, I skipped, improves leadership skills. It's there. Critical review. And then the last one here is just establish a culture of evaluation. This is huge. There's a video that Devin Sylvester did on Lead Forward. There's all kinds of videos on Lead Forward, our website. But establish a culture of evaluation where you're always addressing your one big thing. So in team meetings or in monthly meetings or quarterly meetings, what's our one big thing that if we were to do and to address, we would be more effective? OBTs and a culture of evaluation. So I think our time's gone. So we will say thank you for coming. Trust that the last hour or so of the conference will be excellent. And bless you on your journey as a team leader. I think we can do this, and good days will be ahead for us. So thank you.